Hello, friends. My name is Steve, and we're here today. The two of us, just the two of us today. We're here to talk Berserk Volume 21 in Deluxe Edition 7, or if you're an OG like Joe here, you have the originals, which are very nice. A little small, though. I think I'm used to the bigger size of the Deluxe Editions, and then I see the little ones, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But, so, Joe, you want to give us an intro?
Yeah. I was in a store yesterday, and I saw the first 3 Deluxe Editions, and I was awfully tempted. And then I'm like, I really don't need to spend like $150 on books I already own, even though they're gorgeous. I was so tempted though. I'm Joe, JC Byrne. I write the Hybrid Helix. You can find me at jcmburn.com, my YouTube channel at JC Byrne, and my Twitter, surprise, at JoeByrne1. So I didn't get JC Byrne on my Twitter. It's very sad. But I've recovered emotionally. It's taken a while. My 4th Hybrid Helix novel, Shadow of Hyperion, came out this week, and you should read it now because it'll never be better than this. Right now, it has a perfect 5.0 rating on Amazon.
Wow.
With 13 ratings, and it'll never be better. So if you read it now, you're getting a 5-star book. But if you wait days or weeks, who knows? It could plummet down to
4.7
to 2 stars with no stars. Well, I don't think it'd ever be no stars. Averages don't work like that. But it could plummet and it'd be a much worse book. So if you wait to read it, you're taking a risk. Everyone, it's a risk.
You can brag to all your friends. I'm reading this 5-star book.
5-star book, but in a week you probably, and even then you have to say Amazon 5, right? On Goodreads it's already down to 4.76. It's very on 17 ratings. It's very hurts me. It's very sad. I always wonder why. I'm always amazed when people give a low rating to a book that's late in a series. I'm like, because someone gave my 3rd book a 3-star or whatever, and I'm like, if you don't like what I'm doing, why are you still reading? This, it's like the 3rd book or the 4th book, right? And if you do like what I'm doing, this shouldn't be a 3-star book for you. Because Blood Arena was it was good for what I do, right? I'm not saying everyone would love it, but I'm like, if you really enjoy the first 2, you should really people should be self-selecting, and yet somehow the ratings don't always work like that.
It's so strange. I think it's because for some people a 3-star is I really enjoyed it. For some people, and for some people a 3-star is it was fine. For me, a 3 is it was fine. But for some people, it's a 3 is I liked it. So it's so strange.
Some people say 5 stars for this book changed my life, and 4 is which I get. Again, if Blood Reunion changed your life, you live in a weird life. Because it's I think it's a good book, but you shouldn't completely recontextualize the way you experience the world, right? It shouldn't. It's not that kind of book. There are very few books like that in the world. But anyway, so far, yeah. So that's where you can find all my stuff.
Nice. Yeah, go get the 5-star book before it's too late. Before it goes down to 4.8.
It's not getting better, right? It can't. It's only downhill. I could potentially go up in Goodreads. I think I was at 4.75. Now I'm at 4.76.
Nice.
I was very pleased by that little bump. I got it one, but yeah. And don't review books that you haven't read. That's our. I had someone review the book who never actually read the final version. I was very annoyed, but it's okay.
I knew an author who wrote a really sad story about a child with cancer who was struggling through cancer. It was supposed to be a touching story, and someone read it quote unquote and left a review that said, "This is a really feel good story that I had a great time with." And I said, "You didn't read the story because it's about a child with cancer who's trying to persevere and survive, and it's not a feel good story. It's not it's not a good time. It's not supposed to be a good time. It's supposed to be a touching, emotional story." And so yeah, don't do that. It's not a good look. There was another author too, which made it worse. So yeah. Bad luck.
Yeah, maybe they felt. Did they know each other?
A little. I think they knew of each other, but yeah, that's why I don't trust other authors when they review books because it's I don't know about that.
Don't trust my reviews.
I don't.
If I'm friends with someone, no one should. I don't really make a big point of I don't put reviews on my YouTube channel, and this is partially why. Sometimes I'll refer to a book if it fulfills a certain makes a point. I talked about The Crew, which I really liked, but because it's specifically I was talking about the tone, how it's very humorous. And like I wasn't like saying it was good or bad. I was like using it as an example and an argument. I'll do that, but I won't flat out review a book on my YouTube channel because I know these guys and girls, guys, these
Yeah,
people.
there you go.
I know a lot of these authors. I'm friends with them. I don't want to go up and say, oh, this book was structurally weak and the ending made no sense when we're having a beer at Dragon Con. I don't feel comfortable. I mean, if someone can do that, that's great, but I don't want to do that. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, speaking of reviews and this, so volume 21 was okay. There was a few things that happened in it, but a lot of it was Guts fighting again and rescuing causes. There are moments, but I felt like it was a little light in the story department.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a little light in the story department. I almost feel like it was designed, it was meant to sort of say like the thing that happens is Griffith coming back. And everything else is like, so if a lot of stuff had happened, that would have been just one thing among many. But having this sort of like not a lot happening and then he comes back, it sort of like frames it or punctuates it. You have like page after page after page, just stuff, and then Griffith comes back, and that makes it like that's the thing. And if a lot, and we saw more of the. I guess we didn't really see anything interesting from the Cushions, right? They were there. They did stuff, but not a lot of stuff. We got a little backstory on them, but not a lot, like 2 sentences worth, right? And then Griffith came back. And it's almost like we don't want anything else to happen because we don't want to like detract from the enormity of Griffith coming back. Here's the thing I find really strange about this choice is I really feel like if you can tell sort of, all right, so Griffith's back, and now we're at a place. We don't know exactly what's happening, but we know we're at a place. Griffith's back, and he's large and in charge, and he lost the bridge of his nose because that's what happens when you become super beautiful.
Oh yeah,
you lose. No more bridge of your nose. Now you're just gorgeous, just flat. Middle of your face is flat. And I find it really strange. Like I feel like if I were writing the story and I wanted to get to this place, I would not have separated that from the eclipse. Like I would have had the eclipse end with Griffith coming back, and like Mura added this whole 2 years. I guess. I don't know why Griffith didn't come back at the end of the eclipse. I don't know if the eclipse didn't end with now Griffith is born and like walking around. That's the part I can't. And I feel like the first time I read this series, I remember also not getting it.
So let's look at what's happened the past 2 years or so. So Casca's become like a walking corpse or a lifeless corpse. Well, she's damaged,
near catatonic.
Catatonic. Has Guts developed a whole lot? Has
Yeah, he went through an arc, right? So he left Casca and went to just pursue his revenge, and then he came to the realization that he's running away from the things he cares about, and then he needs to come back and protect them and not just pursue his angry revenge. So he went through an arc. It wasn't a huge arc. I mean, it was a big transition, but I mean, it all happened pretty much, and other than that, he just cut up a lot of stuff. But I don't know that he needed to do that with Griffith off the table. Maybe that made it easier. Maybe without Griffith there to focus on, it made more sense that he would start thinking about Casca. Like if Griffith had been somewhere in the world, he would have just been going after Griffith full tilt and not. Okay. Yeah. Because then you wouldn't have seen Guts blinded. Guts is just a killing machine, right? Which is what we saw at the beginning of this 2-year period. All he wanted to do is kill stuff.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing would be that it's another way to torture Guts because he wants revenge, but he can't get it because Guts is off in a way and unavailable. So I guess that's another way to run Guts through the motions of just building the hate and anger inside of him.
Yeah. All right.
I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think. So what did we gain from waiting those 2 years? Like what? So we did have the small other arc with the elves or the which was fine. I mean, it was okay, but
was
Yeah,
filler.
it was filler.
It was filler. It was designed to say like this is the sort of thing that's been going on for two
Right.
years, right? And I think in retrospect, that's all it was, which is fine. We got Farnese.
Yeah.
I don't know if the stuff with Farnese and those characters would have been the same if Griffith had been walking around, because presumably Griffith walking around is going to have an impact on the socio-political structures. Like the church is going to have to respond somehow to the we think
Hmm.
to this guy walking around. People will. I mean, he's not just gonna. He's not just gonna. You know, he's not gonna. Griffith isn't gonna open a yoga studio in the mountains either, right? Like, he's gonna. You know, he didn't come back. I'm not giving anything away, but we know he didn't come back to like just chill somewhere and not. He wants the world, right? That was his thing. So he's got to go after it. So maybe they needed some time for other people to develop post eclipse without Griffith going after the world, but now he can go after the
Hmm.
world or something, or something. I don't know. It felt weird. It felt like I don't know, like sort of from a like from the sense of like justifying it from the sense of like the magic system. It seemed ad hoc. Like it just is like not necessary to have this whole extra thing happen after the eclipse. But it's fine. Like that's not like, oh, I'm putting the book down,
Yeah.
like kind of problem. That's a more like I don't quite get it, but it, you know,
Yeah.
I'll keep reading. I'll keep
Yeah. I'll keep reading.
I'll keep
But
reading.
yeah, it did seem a little. But I mean, you know, it's not bad. It just there was a lot of battles, a lot of fighting, and we did get some other good characters. I think. I think what it did do was kind of develop the world around Guts and everything else we've been following before that. So I guess the world does feel fuller. It does feel like it feels lived in more than just Guts and the band. So
I actually like the cushions for that. Right, it feels like there's more going on than just Midland and Griffith and Guts, and there's like you know another country, and they have their own sorcery and their own stuff going on, and it does broaden you know a different
yeah,
culture. I mean, I'm sure some people from South Asia might look at the cushions and have their thoughts about representation and is it reasonable or not. They use Sanskrit, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. But I don't want to speak for people from India and whether it's a respectful twist on Indian culture or not. Um, but it does make the world feel
mm,
broader. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
yeah. There,
And other stuff is too. Yeah.
but we did get a Cedro, and that might be the one reason to not have done any of this, for just to avoid him at all. Just it would have
Uh,
the
get away.
Cedro, the kid. He's the
Oh,
one mistake in the whole thing. So that alone,
you know, still like the kid, huh? He's throwing rocks at people. You know, that's not a redeeming quality for
no,
you.
not at all. He needs to go away. Hopefully, he goes away now. I think he said he's leaving, but I don't know. I don't believe him necessarily. But speaking of Guts, I did have a question because I was a little bit unclear, and I might just be not very smart. But so the egghead ate the baby, the like us baby. Did that turn into Griffin?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
because it looked like he was
I
like
think,
gestating.
I, yeah, but I think Griffith was. I'm not
Okay.
positive, but I don't think so. I think the egg creature was going to give birth to Griffith from the start, and him stuffing Guts' baby inside was an afterthought. I don't think that was what started it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember how this all pans out, but it would be weird if that infant turned into Griffith and Griffith was Guts' son, and Guts can make him call him Daddy. Another dysfunctional family. I don't think so though. I think we don't really understand what happened to the baby, to Guts'
Oh, okay.
baby. But I think that changing the world and giving birth to Griffith was the purpose of the egg. It's going to sacrifice all the people in the tower to make this new transformation to the world. And I think we're going to see a new world in Volume 22, or a changed world, even more changed than we did after the
Hmm.
eclipse. Like that's one interesting thing about this series that I don't think is super common is that it is a much more mundane world, like in the what is it, the Golden Age
Hmm.
arc, Like, right, like there's not a lot of magic around. Like people see Zod and even they're like they almost don't believe in him, you know, and like the world is changing. It's not just Guts's world. He doesn't live in a high fantasy world. He didn't grow up in a high fantasy world and he's living in it. He grew up in a much more mundane world and now it's changing around him, which is I think is neat. Um, Interesting. I don't know, and then here's
Oh,
the pre.
the thing.
I'm still a good guy. Really, I am.
Yeah.
And this is good. The God Thousand Fist Cannon. That's that's a classic names they use for like martial arts techniques and like all high powered like Japanese anime like Fist of the North Star. They'll do the thing where the guy's like arms are moving so fast they just show a blur and like 100 arms, like 100 fist strike technique. It's like a classic Fist of the North Star like thing, and he's totally ripping that off here. But like in a respectful like, it's like an homage to that. So if you haven't read a ton of anime, like that's the thing. A lot of some of these things like the kid you were saying, he's Yujiro from the Musashi story, not Yujiro, the kid, but. It's a classic trope in samurai stories, like the kid who wants to be like the disciple to like the great warrior, you know, and follows him around and just gets in the way, doesn't really learn anything, you know, like that's. But like to us, it's like kind of weird, but it's also kind of a trope in Japan. So I don't know if you'd like it more if you had like a deep familiarity with those storylines, but it would certainly I think you find it weird more than you would if you were Japanese, like growing up at this time. It would have been like, oh yeah, this is that kid who shows up in all these stories.
Yeah,
not all of them, but often enough.
Sometimes
it doesn't really excuse him. He's not good.
Yeah, I think sometimes those tropes or things like that can be charming in a way because they're but he's still annoying. So, but I get it. I mean, he's okay.
Not wrong. You're not wrong. He is annoying.
And I think part of it is that maybe part of the reason he feels so off is because the story and the content and material is so dark and adult, and it's a little weird to have a kid in the middle of it. I think it's
the kid and the elf are making silly faces at each other.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of panels that were like, what is going on?
It's funny. I hear you bothered by that. I hear Joseph Carroll. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff. He has a YouTube channel. We talk about Dresden and stuff. He wrote the.
More Than a Vampire.
Yeah. Which I just finished. I just finished More Than a Vampire like last night. Interesting book. He also didn't like Berserk, and he specifically doesn't like the silly faces that get made on occasion, like in the anime. I think he's talking about the anime. I don't think he read it. Could be wrong, but I think the same thing happens, and it drives him nuts. And I do kind of think like to a certain extent like if you read a lot of manga, you don't even notice. Just like whatever, like it's just what they do, right? You know, it's like you don't, you know, it's almost like the fan service on some level. You just if you read enough manga, you're just like, okay, this is just what they do. It's just part of the thing, and I don't know if it, because I notice it now. I'm like, oh, Steve's gonna hate this page. There's one particularly bad page in this volume with that. I don't know where it is, but with Puck and the kid going back and forth with the dumb faces, and I'm like, okay, Steve and Dan are, you know.
Oh yeah, I think it's not in a way it kind of takes me out of the story because it goes from really dark and like a very horror. I don't think it's safe to say it's horror, but you go from all this violence and horror and darkness and really adult themes to these like kids and silly faces. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one. It looks. Yeah, the one. The one panel. It almost like a Beavis and Butthead panel or something, like their faces on the screen.
Yeah, it's very standard for manga. I don't know why. I don't particularly like it either, but I don't think it annoys me as much. Again, because you read enough. But it's not universal in manga either. Like it's not like you need to have it. I'm trying to think of other like serious like Baki the Grappler. I don't think Baki the Grappler does that ever. But that's also Baki the Grappler is its own beat. It's very weird and bad. It's also bad. But they're stylized, right? Like there's a level of So it's like an extra layer of suspension of disbelief.
And the artwork, I mean, I'm surprised that there's so many volumes out because the artwork is very detailed. There's a lot of lines, a lot of, ink on the page, and, there's not a lot of panels where you can look at it and say, this looks unfinished or this looks like it's missing something. It's all, I mean, there's very few panels that just have that unfinished look or like they rushed it. Everything, it looks very, very detailed and like, I
Oh
mean, it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. But he didn't really set a super high pace either,
Mm-hmm.
and he had assistants. Um, but these are coming out. We looked this up. I feel like we looked this up last week, and it was at most 2 volumes a year.
Yeah.
The releases. So and mostly it was 1 volume a year. I mean, it's 41 volumes, but it's over like 25 years. You know, so but I totally agree. The art's spectacular, and even stuff like this, right? Like all these demons things. Like I don't particularly like this kind of stuff. Like I'm not a horror fan, like in that sense. But like all these faces are different. Like it's not cut and paste. They don't all look the same. The apostles all look different, like really different. Like there's no like. Rarely is there just like a herd of like faceless orcs that all look like they cut from the same template. Yeah. Like there's a lot of individuality. Like scenes like this,
With all
right?
the
Like with
different
all
faces,
these people,
yeah.
they all look different, right? They're very different faces. It's not repetitive, which is impressive.
Even the landscapes and the castles too. It looks like every single brick is drawn.
I always feel like that's an assistant being worked to the bone to do that. But I don't really know. I feel like Dan knew more about the work habits of Miura than I do, and I don't remember what he said. But no, I totally agree. The background is fantastic, and the character designs are just bizarre. This guy.
Oh yeah. I'm not quite sure how he became the Thing, or with this like body of rock.
Oh well, he was infected by the egg guy.
Right.
Right. So once they're infected, they can transform, and he seemed to transform more than the others because he was a character with a name. I feel like it's just plot line. I don't. They don't really explain why he has a nearly apostle level because he's not an apostle, right? He didn't have a ballot. He didn't sacrifice his friends, right? So he's not an apostle. But why does he have near apostle power? Maybe because he was just so tough before, and had such strong conviction and such strong emotions that it. I feel like they're hinting at that, but they don't explicitly say it. If your like will is strong enough, you just when you do the transformation, you become more. And his assistants were lesser people to begin with, so they transformed into still tough, but not as tough.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy who slammed his face into the ground 1,000 times a day out of just pure devotion to his deity, right? Like, I struggle to do that even once a day. Plow my face into the ground.
That's dedication.
Yeah. So he becomes a. I almost felt like his end wasn't it wasn't cool enough. It wasn't meaningful enough. Like he's fighting Guts, and he really beats on Guts, and then he loses. Spoiler alert. Hopefully everyone who's watching this read the right, but like it didn't seem to have like emotional impact. Like he was built up as a character so much, and then he dies, and I'm like, okay, it was fine. It just wasn't.
Yeah, I kind of felt like for the amount of time we spent with him, getting to like being introduced, and he felt like a larger than life kind of character, like a less like a mini boss and more like a boss, and it seemed a little. They did have a nice little fight, but still, it felt like he would be around a little bit longer. And the Kushills, I kind of felt like, I forget the name of the they came at the end, and Zod just like comes in, and then Guts just like cuts their faces in half, which is fine, but it kind of felt like, I guess that's okay. I mean, sometimes I don't mind the build up and then being surprised like that, like he just like plows through them. So okay. Like I don't really mind it too much, but it kind of felt like we'd been building for things, and Guts arrives, and it's like, okay, forget all that other crap. It's Griffin now.
Yeah, I think there's a Cushion army, and the army is made up of regular people, but there are elements of the Cushion side who are
Mm.
supernatural and extra tough, and they're gonna they'll be bigger characters. Like he couldn't have just cut through the leader of the Cushion group or the guys with the huge knuckles who don't wear
Yeah.
shirts. Like, those would have been tougher. Like even then, I don't think Zod is like carving through those guys without a thought. He's carving through the regular
Mm.
dudes without a thought. I think we're still going to see those guys. I like what are the other arc we saw? Almost an arc, or the shift, was in Farnese, Lady
Yeah.
Farnese. Now like, oh, I like Guts. He's actually like helping me out. I'm going to follow him. It's like, okay, lady.
There seems to be some. Am I wrong, or does it seem to be that there's some sexual tension there between, at least for her, because she seems to think a lot about what had happened when she was under the influence a few volumes ago, and she had derobed, and she kind of, it seems like she keeps thinking back to that, and I kind of feel like there's some, and it feels a little weird because it kind of feels like she's almost like lusting after Guts in a way, like she's attracted to him, or she feels like they connected in some way, and which is strange because she wasn't in her right mind when all that stuff happened.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I don't think it's. I mean, tension implies it's on both sides,
Oh,
and I don't
okay.
think we're seeing that, right? We're seeing we're seeing her, and I almost think it. Yeah, yeah, but it's like given her like sadomasochistic like leanings in general, it kind of makes sense that she would like Guts in a completely different way than how other people would like Guts.
Yeah.
You know, she would like the rough edges. She's a bizarre character, um, but I can easily see. I don't remember because I read this before, but it was a while ago. It's easy to imagine her following Guts around and lusting after him and just being like, "Go away,"
Yeah.
you know, like I bet Casca, go leave me alone. And then like if this were a different kind of manga, she'd like fall and end up on his lap, and Casca would walk in on them, and everyone would get upset. You know, it's almost like they're setting that kind of dynamic.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's a dynamic of him wanting her as much as one side or the other. And then, of course, what's his name? I don't know if he's pining after her. Actually,
Oh,
her the swordsman who follows her, who's sworn to her. I actually don't even think he likes her, but he's required to take care of
he's
her.
bound. Yeah.
So it's not really a triangle in that sense.
He
It's not him lusting after her.
seems more bound for, like more of a duty thing.
Yeah,
Like he's doing his job more than it is anything else.
we're gonna have.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a story we're being told. We're gonna hear that eventually.
Mhm.
Like that's a story to be told later, right? Why he's bound to her, but he takes it seriously. But I don't think he actually likes her, which is that's
Yeah.
fine.
But no, I think Guts would be completely oblivious to any of that stuff. His mind is on other
There
things.
actually were these little character developments throughout this book, right? Like Farnese did that shift. Farnese's assistant, the swordsman dude, didn't really change at all. Casca's attitude towards Guts
Yeah.
shifted, right? She sees him as a protector somewhat now, and she let him hug her. He put his arm around her at one point, and she didn't run or get freaked out. She's kind of, in her catatonic way, seeing that he's trying to protect her, and that's a big shift. I mean, in Guts' favor. And I like that the one general dude with the cool mustache survived with the big studded staff.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't have any kind of character change. He's just a constant. He's just a good dude. There was one other shift. What's her name? The prostitute who was the
Is
coward,
that? Oh yeah, the curly haired one. I forget her name.
curly haired one, the not good one. She had a little bit of a shift, which she's like, okay, I'm never going to be a great person, but I can try to be a halfway decent person, and maybe I'll manage it. And goes off with her boyfriend, and that's a little bit of a character shift if she sticks to it.
Yeah, he must really like her because after what happened, the fact that he survived that. I mean, I'm surprised he survived that at all. But
I mean, it's slim pickings for him right now, right? 10,000 people just died in that tower. There's not a lot of eligible women running
that's
around.
true. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, she tried to sacrifice him. he outed her to the very nasty secret police.
That's true.
Yeah, they have some baggage.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they got all that out of the way right away. Maybe they'll live happily ever after, if that's possible in this world.
I'd be okay if we never see them again.
No,
I would be totally fine with
I
that.
think
Like, just
she served her purpose, I think.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. But it is, it's getting the team together. It's like we have Casca, we got, well, we'll see if we have Isidore or not. Farnese and Farnese's knight, whose name I can never remember. And then they just and then Guts leaves with Costco, right? So at the end they're separated, right?
Yeah.
Guts running away from the army with Costco on a horse, and everyone else is in a different place.
Yeah, well, I think Guts had made the decision to not leave Casca alone again.
Yeah.
So he did make that choice of seeking revenge right there, or taking Casca to safety, or at least being with her. So I thought that was a nice moment too.
I'll buy that. Maybe that's the reason for that 2-year gap, to give him a chance to go through an arc to make that choice. Where if he had made that choice at the end of the eclipse, it would have seemed not like him. Right? If at the end of the eclipse he'd immediately just like left Casca and like gone after, like had to make that choice and made it the way he did, it would have seemed too soon. Instead, he wasn't given a choice at the end of the eclipse, right? He was whisked out of there by Skeletor.
Yeah.
And then he had to come around to be the person who would make that choice, which is a big choice for him.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's not the guy he was 2 years ago, where he left Casca so he could just have a chance to chop up more stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think his character, he did grow.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. Yeah, and maybe it would have been very difficult to pull that off if Griffith was walking around somewhere, where Guts could go after him. So Griffith had to be non-existent for a while. I guess. It's not super satisfying to me. Like, sort of like that's a narrative explanation for why it happened,
Yeah.
right? Like, from the point of view of the storyteller and the character growth. But, like, from the point of view of, like, the world, it's not very satisfying. Like, it just seems like, why do we need this extra thing? Why couldn't he just pop out of the eclipse and be walking around then? Like, that's the problem. It's not satisfying from an in-world perspective. No, it's not terrible, but it's not. I don't love it. It's all right. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
And I love Pretty Boy Griffith. I just think it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's very majestic. It's so.
He's past.
Isn't it so? It's so strange to see a character that's done so many terrible things, and then when he returns, it's like this angelic, almost like this huge. And he's very feminine, and he almost looks. He almost. It looks like the. I don't know. It's weird to have a character so bad, and then his return be so, like these bright pages with doves, and it's very and he comes and like pets Zod on the head like good boy,
Well, I think if that's what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't want to be the like monstrous ruler of the world. He wanted to be this angelic figure. Like, that was his desire. And I think that's what makes it more poignant in a way, that he made these horrible sacrifices so he could become this angelic figure. And then it worked. He's this angelic figure. And people are going to look at him and think he's an angelic figure. He tamed Zod. Look how pretty he is. There's no bridge to his nose. And then like Guts is like, no, he's not. Right? This is going to be Guts against the world again, right? Because everyone else is like, oh, look how beautiful he is. Like, he's clearly a good guy. And Guts is like, you don't understand what he did to look like that. Like, you're not following the, like, forget 10,000 people in the tower died so he could be born, right? But even before that, he sacrificed, the all his friends so he could have this life that you see, and it's that contrast. If he came back again as this monstrous looking thing, with, like, tentacles and stuff, you'd almost, it would be almost like too on the nose.
I guess it's almost could it also be a commentary like whether for you to reach a certain level of the big white pages and his very the bird surrounding him. He, I guess it could be a commentary on for you to reach a certain level of love or appreciation, or to be known, you have to make sacrifices and you have to do terrible things to get there. Maybe what was the Tracy Chapman song? Like, you kind of for you to reach a certain level, you have to it's on the backs of other people, or you have to step on other people to get there. So that's kind of what now that we're talking about, kind of what I'm thinking.
Are no honest billionaires?
Yeah.
Is that they always say?
Yeah, there's blood on your hands in some way.
Maybe. I don't know if he's trying to make that generalization as much as he's saying that that's what's going on with Griffith. Because Guts is reaching a very high level as a person. He's like an incredible swordsman and stuff, and he really hasn't done it by betraying a bunch of people. He knows that there's a trail of corpses in his wake, but they're not his friends. That he didn't like betray and backstab his way to being a leader, but he's becoming a leader, right? Everyone's now acknowledging like this guy is like. That's the other thing we're seeing with Guts. The other subtle transformation is he's showing leadership qualities people are responding to that he didn't really. Like even when he was at the Band of the Hawk, people followed him, but almost like we'll follow him because we know he's going to carve a big hole in wherever he's going. It's not so much that he's a good leader as much as he's an okay guy and he's like really frightening. So, but he's nice to us, so we'll follow him. But I never really got the feeling he had a commit. Like his way of speaking would bring his speech would bring confidence. But now we're seeing that. I think that's interesting. It's a small shift, but it's a shift. Still love mustache guy.
Yeah, he's one of the few melon-sized heads that aren't evil. I think there's like the eggheads, like the bald eggheads are terrible most of the time, but the melon shapes are up in the air.
He's got a nose just like the priest, really broad, like inhumanly broad and rectangular. But I wonder if he smashes his face into the ground in supplication as well. He doesn't seem like the type.
He does have a very square nose.
Just has a big square nose for no reason. Or maybe he's just had it broken a bunch of times, because he seems like the kind of guy who would have had his nose broken a bunch of times in various situations.
It could also be like a helmet that he wore, the helmets that come down in the middle of your face and kind of like protect your face, maybe. Like wrestlers who have like cauliflower ears, that kind of thing. Like it's just
thing that happens. But he's useful. I hope he's sticking. I'm sure we'll see him again. I don't know how. I don't remember. I don't remember much about the next 21 volumes. I really don't know why. So Zod's got the horn missing. Zod's bowing to Griffith. Griffith is very pretty. And Guts saves Casca and runs away. And the cushions are going to go after Griffith, and that's not going to end well for them. And they got the war elephants. I always like a good war elephant.
Yeah, always nice when the elephants show up. I'm not sure. I guess just the size, and they just seem very intimidating, even though I'm not sure what exactly it is they do, like on the battlefield, other than just like take up space and step on people.
I mean, historically they were a thing, right? Like, I feel like Alexander the Great invading, like, they used a lot of war elephants at those times. I think it is just, I mean, if you have a formation of people and the elephant is sent in your direction, that formation's going to have a problem. I don't know. I don't know enough about actual historical battle tactics to really know about that stuff. Oh yeah, and here's Guts cutting his way through some cushion soldiers.
Cutting their faces in half.
Guts, in the Guts way, which is always fun. So I think there was a lot of shifts with minor characters, and they're like character shifts. There wasn't a lot of weren't Zod and Skeletor fighting before? I thought they were having a big battle where we last saw them, and now Zod is like just coming out and bowing down to Griffith, and Skeletor just left. I feel like we didn't. I guess we just assumed they fought to a draw again. And there's nothing to it, I guess. but there was like there was less like magical metaphysical stuff going on other than Griffith being born. That was the thing, right? And the tower being consumed, which was part of Griffith being born, like the big blood blob that was taking over. But this was nice, right?
Yeah,
Oscar
Costco, the
led,
little embrace.
Holder, without freaking out, and that was not what we saw 2 years earlier.
But the volume does end on a very down note, though, because the shape of the world began to crumble on this day. So don't get the feeling there's a lot of hopeful things happening.
Well, I mean, one thing, Griffith does not want to destroy the world. He wants to rule it. And he has a history of wanting to rule it through charm and beauty and not an iron fist. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the form he's taken. Conducive to that. It's not an iron... So, I don't know. But definitely we're going to see a shift in the world. I know we have to see more of the cushions. There's this huge army and a bunch of elephants wandering around.
Yeah.
So that's not over.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where the baby is, because it looked like the baby was healing, or at least looked like a normal baby.
You know, I didn't. You might be right that the baby is what turned into Griffith, which would be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that really makes sense, but I don't know that it's wrong either. Like, I don't feel like I don't have enough facts.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like a sacrifice or something, but I think that would be. I think they've built the baby up too much to turn it into that, and especially with it being Guts' baby. That'd be like...
Yeah, I don't think it turning into Griffith would really make sense either, unless there's a point later on where Guts is about to kill him, and he's like, by the way, I'm your son. Which would be kind of...
awkward.
Yeah.
How's that family reunion?
Yeah. Griffith hugs him, Dad.
Yeah, an awkward family dinner there.
Remember when I raped Mom and made me myself in this, yeah.
Remember the eclipse, how great of a time that was?
Yeah. Yeah, see, I think these guys are going to not get carved through as quickly. Right? These are the guys who are like the tough ones and the special ones.
The named NPCs?
Yeah. Or at least, this... The Oracle proclaimed something had happened in this pagan land. They all survived. Could he be the one? They're supposed to find someone. And they're from some, group of people who lost their homeland or something. Like some sect or tribe. So that's always cool. I always wanted more of those guys. I always wanted a story about these dudes.
Yeah.
I like the big knuckle guys. Whenever I see them, they got the lumps of callus on their wrists and knees and knuckles from. You get that from certain styles of martial arts training where you beat on you get a stone or a tree or something and you just pummel it day after day, and then you get the bones to form in your striking points. And I know lots of people when I trained, I had big lumps on my knuckles from that. They've kind of softened over the years of not training, but I always like that stuff.
I think the last thing we get is this one where the egg is talking to the kid, or when he's talking about the death that's coming. Can you hear that? The roaring lullaby of death. So that was a nursery rhyme, but
yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll find out.
See, but he seemed to decide on the spur of the moment to put the baby in there, to put Guts' baby in there, and he seemed to be there to give birth to Griffith from the start. And that's why I think that Griffith is not the baby, right? That it's two separate beings. But I'm not sure. Because otherwise, what was the purpose of the egg if, it's not like he was looking for the baby to put in there to turn into Griffith. Yeah. I was like, I'll tuck you away, little guy. You'll be safe here. Wasn't that his attitude? Am I remembering?
Yeah, kind of climb on in. Let's be friends.
Yeah. Which makes me think the baby's going to still be out there, but I'm not sure. Volume 22. Maybe I'll read that today.
Yeah, me too. Can you think of anything else in 21?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Right? We got some small resolutions to some minor character arcs. This does feel like the end of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it says. Oh no, it's just the end of the chapter. No, conviction arc. The end. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's really the end of an arc. Conviction arc, birth ceremony chapter. So this whole section is the birth ceremony chapter, and it ends at the end of this volume. So something has ended. That makes sense. It feels like an ending, right? Like now everyone can run around and find a new place. So yeah, I think that's it.
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I think with the rate the rate the story is going, I'm kind of surprised that we're only halfway finished, because it seems like we're nearing, like if I didn't know that there's so many more volumes to go, I'd think that we were like in the third act, kind of like we're,
Yeah.
But so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. The story is structured weirdly. It doesn't follow the expected patterns of like pace. And I always wonder when I see that, was that his plan from the start, or did he like get 10 volumes in and go, oh, I wonder what I'm going to do next, and make it up as he went? Like I'll never know. Or maybe there are interviews out there where he says, and I haven't really pursued like looking that stuff up. But I do wonder. But yeah, it does. We're halfway through by volumes.
Yeah.
Right, which it does not feel like half. Right, it feels So I don't know. We'll find out. And there's another arc coming. I told you that last week, right? Did I saw that in the news? That okay.
I wonder if there is an end in sight. Like even on the current arc, I wonder if there's an end, or if it's just like keep this going as long as we can.
I mean, the assistant has said that there's an end. He knows how it ends, and he knows what he needs to do. Is he full of crap? I don't know. Well, I always have this sort of knee-jerk. I always have a knee-jerk sort of negative first reaction to people following other people's stories when they are directly connected to them, like Christopher Tolkien's stuff. And I'm not saying he did a bad job or anything, but like Anne McCaffrey's son, and then like Frank Herbert's son doing the new Dune stuff. The new Dune stuff Frank Herbert's son did, I thought, was extremely uninspired. It's just like, yeah, it's more of the same, but that's all it is. It's just filler. You're adding filler to a very, and I'm like, I get it, like, because it's a living. It's got to be better than working 9 to 5 or like mowing lawns or whatever. But like, as a creator, it kind of bugs me when you're not really, when that's what you're like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's how it feels. They're like, oh, if I were Frank Herbert's son, would I be writing like Dune knockoffs for the rest of my life? I probably would, because it's money, and I like making a living. I like having a house and like credit cards and stuff. But like also, it's just like it's just not but if it's not good, like, it bugs me.
You could also, like, if you had, I'm guessing that there's money in that estate somewhere. Like, you maybe hire someone who's known, who's capable of writing, or who really loves this, like Sanderson finishing Wheel of Time. Kind of like you find someone who's, who can write and like who knows how to structure and who you can collaborate with. But I don't know.
And I think everyone agrees that Sanderson was a good, really good move, right? I think that I haven't read those, but that seems to be the universal. Like, Sanderson's not the kind of person I'm complaining about.
No.
I'm complaining a little bit about Todd Herbert or whatever his name is, Fred. I don't even know. Todd McCaffrey, I think. And I haven't read those either, but I don't know. Yeah,
Sure.
I like to think if my kid was going to write, they'd write their own stuff and not write in my world. Not that my kids are ever going to. My kids, that's not their inclination. Not that I'm Frank Herbert.
Oh, you never know. You have time.
Yeah.
Well, how often did what could Frank Herbert say? I have a 5-star book. On
Goodreads, Frank Herbert never had a book who's well, actually that could I don't even that's probably not even I don't even know. I don't know. I wonder. You think that's a funny thought, right? Someday on Goodreads, someone put their very first rating for Dune. I don't know what that rating was. It could have been 5 stars for a long time. Like I don't know, right? If you look up Dune right now, I'm sure there's a bunch of ratings on Goodreads, even though Goodreads didn't exist on the book.
Oh yeah,
now.
I'm sure there's a few thousand.
It's got to be thousands, tens of thousands, or something. So maybe he did, but he wouldn't have known it because I'm sure he was deceased when Goodreads first came out.
I think so. I think
Sorry,
he's been around for a while. He's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
It only has 1 million ratings.
1 million? Wow, nice, good for them.
4.2
4.2 rating
average.
That's not bad.
With 1,252,649.
I mean, 4.2 is not as good as my books, but it's pretty
That's
good.
not even Frank Herbert can say I have a perfect 5-star book. So
Read it now.
Read it now.
I really like that marketing scheme, right? Read it before it gets worse.
Yeah.
It almost makes sense until you think about it for a second, and then it just doesn't. That's my favorite kind of joke, right? Almost works, and you're like, oh wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Okay.
It doesn't need to make sense to be funny.
No, in fact, the opposite, probably.
Exactly. Yeah, embrace it.
Very good.
So where can people find you and your 5-star work?
You can find my 5-star book on Amazon. Just look up JCM Byrne. My 5-star book right now is Shadow of Hyperion, which, as the last time I checked, is solid 5 stars on Amazon and like almost 4 3/4 on Goodreads. Very exciting. Came out last Tuesday, so that's only going to go down. And you can find me at JCM Byrne. I think all 4 books are on there now. And keep your eye out for Partial Function, which should be out. I'm aiming for the first week in November, but I don't really know. Maybe the end of October. I got to see how things go, but it'll be something like that. And early buzz is strong, and I don't always say that, but people really like this book. I wasn't sure when I almost didn't publish it. I wrote it and I was like, this is a really strange book, and I don't know if other people are gonna think it's just weird or will like it. And so far, most people like it, so I'm like, all right, I'll publish it. And now people are really liking it. So I'm like, all right,
No.
what do I know?
Yeah.
What do I know? So that's it.
Right on. Well, yeah. Congratulations on the book launch, and let's keep that 5-star train rolling.
We'll see. Thanks, Steve.
Cool. We'll see everyone next week. Maybe we'll have the rest of the crew will come back, but we'll see.
Yeah, lazy bastards.
We'll see everyone next week.